It has been a very busy semester for me here at the university. I'm teaching an extra load this year. I've had no free time, and it is finally spring break. So that's why I'm coming to you now from the office to tell you about some fun adventures we've got planned for 2025. I always like doing this video every year because it kind of gets me pumped up and fired up for what we got planned on the calendar. And so I'm just going to jump into it, fill you in on some of the things I got planned, and hopefully you will get excited about it too. So there's definitely some big things coming. So first of all, I want to talk a little bit about the running. As you all know, I'm a big runner. Last year I did a lot of running. I ended the year with about 1,950 miles total for the year, which kind of frustrated me because I was like, come on, it was so close to 2,000 that I decided this year I want to have a year-long goal of trying to get 2,000 total miles, which comes out to be something about 5.5 miles a day. But that doesn't always work that way, right? Because there's days we need to rest, there's days we're sick, there's days where we're recovering. And so you got to kind of make up for that by doing long runs that are longer than 5 miles, and it just kind of all averages out in the end. So as of right now, I am on pace. I've done something like 430 miles on the year. So I'm a little bit ahead of schedule, but just it's keeping me motivated to stay in shape. I feel really good. I feel really fit right now. And I do have a race coming up in a few months in Colorado. So I'm going back to the San Juans in June to run the San Juan Solstice 50 miler again. Now, if that sounds familiar, it's because I did run it last year. Run it is a very strong word. I was incredibly sick last year with a stomach bug. So I just miserably shuffled my way through that race. It was a sufferfest, and I eked across the finish line just minutes before the cutoff. I don't think I enjoyed a single step of the race, which is a shame because it is a beautiful course in a beautiful part of Colorado. And so I decided I got to go back and do this run proper and actually be healthy and just like enjoy the course. And so that's what I'm doing. I'm going back to the San Juans in June for the San Juan Solstice. I'm also going back in November to run the Mount Masochist 50 miler in Virginia again. I do this every year. And we're starting to get close to a pretty significant year. So this will be my 9th year. If I finish it this year and then go back next year, it will be my 10th finish, which is a really significant milestone at the Masochist. You get a special finisher coat for 10 finishes. And so I'm really eager to complete my 10th finish there. That'll be pretty fun. On the running front, I have a couple other things that I wanted to make mention of. I have kind of a goofy challenge called the Hole to Hump. So this is a real thing. You can look it up. It's in Arizona. And what it involves is hiking down the Grand Canyon to the river on a sort of non-standard trail. It's not one of the main trails. It's a different trail. You go down to the river, you dip your toe in the river, and you start your watch. And so you start at whatever 1,500 feet of elevation down at the bottom, and then you climb out of the canyon to the top at the plateau. And then for the next 60 miles, you traverse across northern Arizona on various forest roads and the Arizona Trail and such until you reach Flagstaff and you summit Mount Humphreys, which is the highest point in Arizona. So you run from the bottom of the Grand Canyon to the top of Humphreys Peak over 75 total miles. It's going to be a really interesting challenge because obviously it's not like a sanctioned event. There's not going to be aid stations. So I'm going to have to set up like caches or have someone crew for me. And it's not short. This isn't like a 30-mile loop trail. This is a 75-mile canyon to summit. And it's actually longer than that, right? Because you have to first hike down the canyon at the beginning, and you also have to hike down from the summit at the end. So while it says it's a 70-mile route, it's really like an 80-mile route because you got to add the beginning and the end as well. So I'm excited to do this challenge. I've been wanting to do it for several years. It's probably going to take me a good part of a day to do it, like 17 hours or something. We'll see. I don't know if I'm going to do it over the day or through the night. I don't know. Along the lines of the Grand Canyon, I'm also going back to do another rim to rim to rim. It'll be my 5th one. And I did just do one a few weeks ago with a friend of mine, which is weird that we were able to do it in the winter time. We've had no snow up until this last week. And we hiked it very casually. It took us about 15 hours. And I decided I wanted to try and see how fast I could actually do it. So I looked back at all my other previous attempts, and the fastest I've ever done a rim to rim to rim was about 13 hours. And so I was like, I'm going to see if I can go sub 12 hour. So what I'm going to do is at some point this year, I'm going to go back to the Grand Canyon, very fit, in shape, and I'm going to run. And I'm going to run as much as I can and see if I can come in under 12 hours. So that'll be the plan. Sometime look for it. I'll definitely post a video about it when the time comes. Moving on, I want to talk a little bit about Colorado. So I do have another big week-long moto adventure tour planned for Colorado. You're probably thinking, what motorcycle is he taking? We'll get to that. But the main point of this trip is 100% is to finish the 14ers. So I have 2 14ers left of the 58 to finish the entire circuit. However, one of those 2 is hands down the most difficult of all the 14ers, and that is Capitol Peak. But I think that I at least want to try it. And I know the places along the route that are very dangerous. I've read all the tips on like, this is how you should be the most careful in these places, and don't try to do this, shortcut, and don't do this. And I've done pyramid, I've done plenty of class 4. So I think like technicality wise, I think I'm ready for it. I'm just very nervous about the exposure. There's a lot of like sheer drop offs that make me very nervous. That's the plan. Capitol Peak first. And then if it's successful and we're okay and we have time, we will head down to Snowmass, which is my last 14er. And what's cool about Snowmass is I'm going to attempt to summit it from a non-traditional route. So it's not even one of the published routes on 14ers.com. It's actually just kind of this side route that people do, but it looks really fun and it's not too dangerous or technical. It just looks really scrambly fun. It's called the S Ridge. And I just think it'd be fun to finish all of my 14ers on a route that's not a standard approach route. It would just be kind of a fun way to cap it all off. So that's the plan. 2 14ers in about a week. I'm going to spend traveling there and back and probably dancing through Moab a little bit, doing the Moki Dugway and a few other fun places on the motorcycle. And that's it, with one exception. I do have one other piece of news to share with you. I'll leave you on this little cliffhanger. I got a new bike. Surprise. I decided to buy a new bike. So I sold the Himalayan, and so many of you are probably like, you dumbass, why were you selling the Himalayan? That was the best bike ever. And it was a great bike. It was a wonderful bike. I have no regrets on the Himalayan. She was a beautiful bike. Just want something with a little bit more beans for the highways. And for these moto adventures I do always have a fair amount of touring, and the Himalayan just didn't have it. It was struggled, especially when it was loaded down with all my gear and stuff. I bought something new, and it was a very difficult decision. I struggled with it for weeks, and in the end, it came down to a couple simple things that kind of pushed me over to one side, and also a timing thing. Like I was sort of leaning one way, and then timing worked out with the availability of a bike, and I was like, yes, like let's do it. And I pulled the trigger on it, and so yeah. So I've got the CRF and a new bike coming in, which I'm not going to tell you what it is yet. You'll just have to wait for a week or 2 until I decide to share it with everyone. But I am picking it up in 2 days. So it's imminent. It's coming. We're going to have a new horse in the stable, as it were. I don't know these metaphors. Anyway, I've already gone long again. I keep doing this, so I'm going to end the video and say thank you all for following along. I'm excited about all these adventures, the hole to hump, the rim to rim to rim, a couple of races, and most importantly, the Colorado trip, and tackling the monsters of Capitol and Snowmass. It's gonna be daunting and nerve-wracking, but we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it together, and we're gonna get this thing done and enjoy it along the way. Anyway, let's enjoy this spring break. I'm so excited. I get a little time to breathe, and I'll check in with you all in a few days with the new wheels. Yeah. All right. See you guys. Thanks. Bye.